Okay, thank you guys. So guys, thank you for having us. We're Epica. We have an amazing mission is that we want to make e-commerce companies and direct-to-consumer companies smarter. Um, I'll tell you a bit about the founding team. I am one of the co-founders, currently helping the company more in business development, revenue growth, customer success, and so on. And my other partner, who is currently the CEO, both with strong understanding not only of the e-commerce situation, but also about technology. There's a huge problem, and that we're seeing in most of our clients, and that is that they do not understand their customer journey. uh, Direct-to-consumer companies and e-commerce companies do have another problem, is that most of them have small data. I'll tell you a little bit about how we're finding this out. They cannot understand each of the customer touch points, and they do lack a real personalized customer experience. But there's a huge opportunity. Only in the U.S. market there are millions of companies that are exactly in our niche, and most of the data that will be used in direct-to-consumer companies will be synthetically generated. Our solution is, or what we're offering, is the next generation of AI infrastructure that has algorithms, data for these direct-to-consumer companies, and that is what we call the Epica platform. Epica has a unique capability of understanding not only small data, but also creating synthetic data in order to do federated learning and have high accuracy predictions. Our product has basically these five elements. The first one is we are able to to manage data, capture data, understand it, and create synthetic data. With that data, we're also able to understand in a very deep and granular manner the customer journey. We are also creating a 360 view of each of these customers, and that is what we call a persona building profile, or an ID graph. And what this means is that actually we do have a patent ready to do there. We are also using natural language processing and delivering smart search for e-commerce company, and also real-time personalization and predictions with machine learning. One of our main competitive advantages, what we call, again, the ID graph. So it has basically four steps. The first one is we capture all of the data, and if you see, it has all types of data, right? We can capture online data, offline data, CRM, ERPs, QR codes, whatever type of data. With that, we take that information, and our machine learning algorithms already understand what is PII and what is not PII, and the algorithms already understand this and anonymize and encrypt that information, the PII information, in order to be compliant with privacy. Okay, our advanced machine learning algorithms start to create this persona, and once you create this persona, you start understanding your customer. With that data, we are able to deploy this information in any channel. Okay. We've been fortunate enough to work with Fortune 500 companies already. We've got a bunch of use cases. Actually, we have a whole deck of use cases. But the most benefits that we see them in the two different worlds, right? Not only in the digital, but also in the physical world. And what do we see? We see increasing conversion rates. We have a better search experience. We can increase CTRs with personalization. Our clients are understanding better the customer journey, but in a digital manner. But also in the physical stores, we are helping them to reduce inventories, have better demand process, demand forecasting, also deliver personalized content in physical stores, and capture on-site behavior. Why Epica? That's a question that we get everywhere. So first, we have a very robust strategy in terms of zero touch and SaaS approach. Second, we have a strong partnership with Microsoft. And third, we're building a unique marketplace of data and predictions. Our go-to-market is pretty simple. We have direct and marketplaces. We already have Microsoft and AWS. We are part of we are a Microsoft startup, and we are creating also partners and have premium partners. Our business model is pretty straightforward. We have a setup fee and a monthly fee, and we also are selling data. We currently have more than 100 clients, and our main focus right now is SMB and the mid-market segment. This is a little bit about our financials. We have been already funded for more than $2.3 million, and we have a very small churn in clients. And last but not least, we're looking for a round of $2.5 million. Most of this for marketing and sales, definitely technical infrastructure and product development. That is, thanks.
Fantastic, Diego. Thank you so much. Got pretty close there, right in under the wire. All right, panelists.
I believe it's Daniel's turn. Is it Daniel's turn? Going back and forth?
I think so.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I was trying to turn my video back on, and there we go. All right. So, wow, Diego, I'm impressed that you were able to get that much information in 5 minutes. And I know it's not an easy thing to do, but holy cow, that was drinking from the fire hose. So, a couple of things. Loved that you started out with the leadership team, right? My only comment there is it would have been nice to get a little more background on each of you, what you did that brought you to that place. Because again, especially if you're raising money and doing this as a real investor pitch, that's again, it's going to be team. So a little bit more on what brought you guys here. What gives you the capability to, because you guys are doing a lot of hard stuff, right? And I loved your statement. The problem was pretty good. It took me a little while to get there, but I did eventually. In managing the customer journey. The 28 million small businesses, that sounded like that was your target and what you were going after, right? Which was good. So I love the fact that you were able to get that across. When you started into the solution, there were a whole bunch of very interesting buzzwords, right? And I know you were time constrained, but you talk about you talked about machine learning, you talked about AI, you talked about natural language processing. All of those are huge and big concepts, and I know it was so one of the things that I again, if you're forced into doing a short pitch like this one, find some easier to understand words, because investors typically are not your brightest brightest lights in the closet, so to speak, right? They're so simplify some of that, or dumb that down for somebody like me to be able to get a better handle on kind of what all of those things mean and how it would fit together. I really liked your use cases. I would have actually loved you to spend a little more time on one or two of those use cases to be able to show, because the use case becomes now I get what it's actually doing, right, and how it works. Very impressed that you've got you've got partnerships with both Microsoft and AWS. It would have been nice to hear a little bit more maybe about what they saw that was unique enough and interesting enough where they wanted to partner with you, right? Because again, those are big accomplishments. I know how it is to deal with both of those companies, and the fact that you've gotten their interest and you're kind of on a path with them would have been nice to hear a little bit more about. And again, I get all the time constraints. I love the revenue, right? You made it very clear. And in fact, one of the things I would just highlight, because investors love this, hidden away on one of your slides was that you had $125,000 in monthly recurring revenue, right? Investors love monthly recurring revenue, right? So I would have probably, I would have made that like 10 times bigger than it was, and made a point of mentioning that, because that's going to really get their attention. And with that, I've probably bled on over into Rob's time, so I'm going to hand the ball off to him. But great job.
Daniel, to be honest here, you stole a lot of my questions here, so I want to went first. Let's start with the use case. So you mentioned Adidas and Samsung. Exactly what Daniel said. If you could have framed, here was the problem that Adidas had. Here's how we implemented our solution, and here were the results. I would have loved to have understood that up front, because I didn't really understand exactly what the platform was doing until very late in the presentation. And so if you can just give me, there's the old adage, you are the X to Y. And I don't think your solution is simplistic enough to say we are the X of Y. But if you can explain exactly what you did for Adidas, and also translate that into MRR also. So Adidas is a client. How much do they make up of that 125,000 monthly recurring revenue? And and same with Samsung. So I think that would crystallize things for me. The other thing is that I think a lot of people, when you talk about e-commerce, they can relate to Shopify or Magento. And I went out to your website, and you do have a solution for Shopify, it looks like. And so just as an example, one of our portfolio company runs a B2C Shopify site. And so I'm pretty familiar with Shopify. So again, my question there would be, okay, hey, Rob, you have a Shopify site. If we were to apply your solution to the data that you collect through Shopify, here are the insights that we could generate for you. I just think the Shopify or Magento, a lot of people have had their hands, at least in the e-commerce world. Those are the two platforms that are the biggest out there. So if you could relate it back. You certainly opened my eyes when you said that you've already raised $2.3 million in funding. So obviously you have investors that believe in the solution. Not necessarily for this pitch, but would love to understand a little bit more of that. Are they institutional investors, angels? Have you done one or multiple rounds there? And then you did have the slide on how you make money, but I go back to translate that a little bit. So what's a typical size of a deal? So is Adidas a $10 million monthly recurring revenue deal? So good. That's, I think we left 2 minutes here if you want to provide some feedback, and then we can open it up to other questions. But over to you, Diego.
Absolutely. So guys, thanks for the feedback. Everything is amazing. So thanks. Yeah, there's a bunch of things. So really quickly, in terms of e-commerce platforms, right? Yeah, we are definitely working with e-commerce platforms like Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, VTEX. So we're all over the place. Some of them are easier than other ones, right? For example, in the case of Shopify, it's just one click and you install the platform. Okay. So yeah, typical deal size is going to depend on the amount of data that we'll be ingesting and the size of the company. So for example, in our mid-range, basically mid-market segment, it can go all the way from $48,000 yearly, all the way up to $120,000, $150,000 yearly. Okay, that's the mid-market segment. Now, in enterprise businesses, we are talking about the $250,000 or more, okay, a year, okay, in terms of the platform as it is. The investment, yes, we've already been funded for $2.3 million. The initial part of that, most of these are convertible notes. The initial part of it were high net worth individuals, so angel investors. But afterwards, we did another round, and most of them are smaller venture capital firms. So we do have venture capital firms. Again, let's put like a seed round or so on, but it's mostly convertible notes that we have there. Yeah, I think those are like the main questions in regards to our experience. Before Google, before Epica, I was working at Google for 6 years. I helped them to build all the Latin America rapport there. And my partner is a serial entrepreneur with 3 exits already in different companies. So a good mix between entrepreneurship, but also big company, enterprise knowledge. So and thanks guys. Really appreciate everything that you said.
Fantastic. Thanks, Diego.